and access it. There are plenty of resource slides that are available in the slide deck today, and you will be able to access those as you move forward here. The slide deck will also be available on the educator website, so if you are unable to pull it up today, don't fret. We will be providing it as well as a recording, which actually reminds me, website. I just had to turn back on the recording there because I had paused it before. Um, so without further ado, there's lots to cover today, so we're just going to move forward. I do also want to just acknowledge the fact that there is going to be a lot of information today, and I know the webinar is scheduled from 1:30 until 2, but I feel like I should warn you in advance. There's a pretty solid probability that we'll go past the 2 o'clock mark by a few minutes or so. So just be warned that if you have a hard stop at 2, we may go over a little bit, but I'm going to try to do my best to keep within the time frame. So moving forward here, just going to introduce myself. My name is Heather Ryan. I'm a VLE consultant and customer success specialist at D2L. My background comes from 11 years teaching overseas in Seoul, South Korea, where I worked primarily in the primary panel. And I can, without a doubt, confirm that as a teacher, that the Bitmoji classroom would be something that would certainly resonate very much with my students. And I do wish that the technology had been available when is in the elementary school platform there. I've been working with D2L for the last almost 3 years, and in that time, I've been supporting the our K-12 clients with a primary focus here in Ontario, which is where D2L headquarters is. But I have had the opportunity to support clients from all across North America, which has been fantastic. You will see that on the screen. My Twitter handle is there, and that's used. I posted that there because I often post tips and tricks or various updates and things like that that come from D2L on my Twitter and events like today's webinar series, for example. So it's a great way to follow and get some more information if that's what you're looking for. You will also see at the bottom there is a questions email that you can use, k12@ont@d2l.com. We would encourage you to send any of your questions that you do have there because today there will be no Q&A or chat pod available during the webinar, just because we do have such a short period of time. And with the number of participants that we have joining us today, which welcome each and every one of you, there's just not enough time to field all those questions. So we do have that email address that's there, and we are offering office hours this afternoon from 2:30 to 3:30. You can register for those on the same website you registered for today to get the Zoom link to join us. It's a drop-in kind of ask your questions as they come. So if you do have any, feel free to either email us and or drop in office hours to have them answered. Just a couple housekeeping items today. So again, the Q&A and the chat have been disabled just to be able for us to keep moving forward here today. So if you do have any questions, please use that email address that's showing on your screen, k12@ont@d2l.com. We do have a support team that's there that's actively responding to emails and will provide you with as much information and detail as they can, or will direct you to the appropriate resources if that's necessary as well. And then finally, just a reminder that the recording and the slide deck are available on the educator's website. We should see them posted by hopefully by the end of the week. But of course, with the New Year's long weekend on us, it depends on how busy our marketing team is. It might be early next week as well. That said, everything is being recorded and those resources are available for you. Today, we're going to be looking at understanding some terms. So I'm just going to clarify right now, actually. D2L is the company and Brightspace is our product. So if you use the analogy of Apple, for example, Apple is the company and one of their products would be the iPhone or the iPad. So those two terms are often interchangeable. And because Brightspace is completely customizable, your school board or your school district may have its own branding for the product as well. So for example, Hamilton Wentworth District School Board here in Ontario often refers to Brightspace as the hub, or New York City District of Education, or Department of Education rather, they refer to it as iLearn. So it is something that can be completely customizable. So if you're not familiar with D2L or Brightspace, you may have your own specific name that's in your region as well. Today, we're going to be looking at how to build and create a Bitmoji classroom using Google Slides, and then how we can bring it in to make it an active link inside our Brightspace classroom. And we'll be doing that by adding a widget or a specific space for information to be held inside a web page, the widget into your homepage of your Brightspace classroom. Now, keep in mind that there is going to be a lot of material presented to you today, and I will be kind of going through a lot of it rather fast. And some of it I won't be going into a lot of detail and building out too many specifics sort of thing. But that said, I spent a lot of time creating resource slides for you. So I would encourage you to use the bit.ly to be able to access that or to find it on the educator website in the future. Today, we're going to be looking at again how to create that Bitmoji classroom, how to add that widget and create it onto our Brightspace page, and then, of course, how to make it onto our homepage. So it's one of the first things that our students have access to when they enter our page there. Once again, there's that bit.ly for access to the slide deck if you do want to follow along or have reference to that in advance. Um, but Again, have the confidence that I actually remember to press the record button here, and you will have access to the slide deck at a later time. So I would just encourage you to sit back and kind of watch and pay attention. Don't worry about making too many notes or scribbling anything down, because we certainly have you covered with providing you with those resources at a later time. So why you might want to create a Bitmoji classroom? It's a great way to engage with your students and kind of put a unique and fun face to your classroom, especially if you're not comfortable maybe using your webcam or actual photos of yourself, or having access or exposure into your home as that's been expressed by some educators. So it's still a way for you to put a kind of a face and a unique spin on your classroom. Makes it really inviting and fun for our students. It gives them that creative sense of adventure and allows you to create that teacher presence by using your Bitmoji in the classroom. You can customize your classroom as well to make it look like what they've seen in schools, but you can also go that next step further and even create some things like game boards and interactive activities as well. And I'll try to highlight some of those ideas to inspire you for some of your practice. And of course, I'll be looking forward to seeing some of your practices. Hopefully, you'll be sharing them on social media, things like Twitter. It's always really exciting to see what educators come up with, because I truly believe that you are some of the most creative minds in the world, and you come up with things that I don't think of, and it certainly inspires me. So, looking forward to seeing some of those examples moving forward. And it also gives you a great way to link some of your information and your content for your students so that they can look at it and see it in a unique and a different way. Um, Moving forward here. So before we begin, there's a few things that you'll need to have in order to be able to do this. So before you can begin, you're going to need to make sure that you have access to Google Slides, and you will need a blank Google Slides presentation. You will have had to actually have downloaded and created your Bitmoji. So that's an app that can be used on your Android or your Apple or iOS phone, device. So you will have to have created that to be able to do it. And then, of course, you'll need the Bitmoji Chrome extension to be added into your hardware or your computer software to be able to access the Bitmoji and use it in Google Slides. So those are a few things that you'll have to do in advance of the actual construction, sort of speak, or creation of your Bitmoji classroom. So what we're going to do actually, and I'm just going to highlight here for those of you that are looking at the slide deck, there are quite a few steps here, but I have gone ahead and done my best to give you some instructions as well as some information for how to be able to build this yourselves. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to pull up my first few steps here, and we're going to highlight just quickly what you need to do in order to be able to create your Google, your Bitmoji classroom. So we start in Google Slides, and we need a blank presentation. So I'm just going to pull up a blank presentation here. And one of the first things that you need to do when you come into your blank presentation is go ahead and actually delete any of the text boxes that are there, so that you have a completely blank slide to work with. So one of the first things we have to do is create a background to go into our into the slide. So if you click on the background option here and drop that down, you have the option to choose an image. And the image we're going to go where you can upload them from your computer if you have them, but for our purposes today, we're going to use a Google image search to be able to look for this. Now, when you're looking for an image, you wanted to look for a wall to floor background, for example, or a classroom example. And if you type in wall to floor background, you get some really great examples, but you also get some by typing in classroom. Um, We'll just see what we have. Oh, no, that one comes in pretty full. So those would not be good choices just because of all the things that are going on there. Let's try classroom clip art. Again, we're not seeing kind of the images that we want there. So we're going to want to go back and try that wall to floor, or sorry, wall and floor background. And let's just see what comes up here. So we have quite a few options here. So let's just, for our purposes, we'll just pick this nice blank one here and we'll click insert and we'll see how that comes into our image. There we go. Now we have our background choice. So it's pretty simple, it's pretty plain, but we can go ahead and we can build out that by inserting other objects into our classroom. So we're going to want to be looking for things that are seen in a classroom, perhaps regular items. And to be able to do that, we're going to click into our insert option here and bring it down to image. And we have the option again to upload from our computer or search from the web. So we might be looking in here for something like a chalkboard, for example. And a point or a tip that we can remind you is that, or to remind you of, is that if you write the word transparent in there, we get an option for it to be, there won't be any kind of outlines around the images that are coming in. So we'll just go with something that we all know common in a classroom is a blackboard, and we'll pick this one and we can insert it. When it comes into the picture, we see now it's transparent. I can see the wall in the background and the floor behind it. We can go ahead and shrink that down and move it to where we want it to be. And so we can start designing our images so that our classroom looks the way that we want it to. Maybe you want a bookcase in there as well. I'm just going to add in a couple items here, but of course you can keep adding in. You can add a map, you could add all kinds of different things into your classroom, whatever you want to have to reflect what your bill or what your classroom might look like. So there's a bookcase there for us as well. So we can add in as many images as we want. We can keep pulling them in from our insert image from the web, or if you have them on your computer already downloaded, you can upload them from there as well. Or of course you have some options here. So you can keep building those in. The next step, of course, will be to add our Bitmoji. So assuming that you've taken the time and you've downloaded the app onto your phone or your mobile device and you've created your Bitmoji, you've added in you've downloaded the Chrome extension so that it's now into your computer. You would just come up here to this little puzzle piece here, which was where your in Chrome is where your extensions are housed, and click on it and find the Bitmoji option that's there. We're going to click into the Bitmoji option, and what you'll see is my Bitmojis come up. You see the most recent ones I've pulled, as well as some of the most common ones that they're seeing being used. A great way to get some images that look like they're more of a live stance or standing options, for example, is to type in the word pose here at the beginning. And what you'll see is it's the images of me, not a teacher. This is of me standing or in different movement pieces. So you can see some of those different ideas there that you might want to bring into your classroom. You could also type in teacher and see some of those images there as well. So there I am with a book. You're going to right click that, copy it, and then you can bring it into your classroom here and paste. And there I am with my book. So I can bring myself in, make myself a little taller as my Bitmoji classroom builds out, and move it around to make it so that it is exactly the way you want it to look. So this is just a really quick overview of how we can bring in those pieces and really start to characterize and create our classroom. Now, you may be wondering about some of the options that you've seen, and you've heard of teachers making this interactive and adding links and doing a variety of different things, which is great. You can definitely do that. So I'm just going to pull up here. I love me some PBS Kids games personally. So I'm going to grab a PBS Kids game here link just for fun. So I'm just going to copy that. And I'm going to come back into my classroom here. And let's say that I want PBS games to be linked to me. I want that to be connected to my Bitmoji here. So what I need to do is choose the item that I'm going to use and highlight it. So I click on the image that I'd like to have the link added to, and I'm going to go up here to insert, and I'm going to drop that down. And if you scroll down here, you see link, and that's going to give me the option to add in the link that I've copied, pbsgames.com, and apply it directly to this. So now when a student of mine comes in and clicks on this image, it's going to apply and take me out to that PBS link. So I'm going to have that option there and I can click into it and boom, there I go, right into that link. So it makes it a live link or a hot link, if you will, connected to it. You can do that with all the images that you bring into all the images that you've inserted into your classroom, which is fantastic. It allows you that diversity to be able to do that. Additionally, if you're using your Brightspace classroom and you want to bring in, say, your announcements tool, for example, or announcements is, let's say, assignments tool. So maybe you want your assignments list to be connected for your students. You can do the exact same thing. You open the tool like I've done. So I clicked on assignments in my nav bar, which opened up my tool here, and I can connect the URL here, copy it, take it over, and let's say I want my assignments tool connected to my bookshelf. I can follow the exact same protocol or steps as highlighting the image, coming over to insert, scrolling down to link, and copying in the Brightspace URL, which is the assignments folder that we saw is my Brightspace environment, and I can apply it there. So now when my students click on the bookshelf, they're going to see they're going to get connected directly to their assignments folder. So it becomes a really fun and interactive way for your students to move through their practice. You can even go a little bit deeper, and if you wanted to go to the specific tool, you could click, or sorry, the specific assignment, you could click into that assignment as well and use the URL specific to that assignment to connect it to an item. So that's completely up to you as to how deep you want to go. One thing that I've seen that's been really interesting I believe it was a kindergarten, maybe even a junior kindergarten class, was a teacher who made their Bitmoji classroom basically their daily agenda and checklist. So the students they had all their images and in the classroom, and the teacher put numbers. So she had a little circle with a number 1 here, and that connected to say a YouTube video. And then the number 2 connected to their discussion board. So then the student had to make a comment about the YouTube video. And then number 3 connected to the assignment for the day. So it allowed the teacher to actually create this interactive classroom that also took the students from place to place in the order that she wanted them to. I thought it was a fantastic idea and a way to utilize this and create it in a way that helped her students to manage their day in a really creative and fun checklist form. And as you can see, it's pretty easy to link those different pieces in there. So once you had your classroom created, it would be easy for you to make those adjustments during the day or during day to day for that matter. So once we've gone through all of this and we're ready to actually go ahead and we're happy with our classroom and we want to go ahead and publish it and have it be ready to go, we can do that here by going over to File and coming down here to where it says Publish to the Web. And what we're going to be needing to do here is getting our Bitmoji classroom ready for us to be able to get an embed code, which allows us to bring it into another website, which is what we're going to do inside Brightspace. So we're going to click on this here, and it's going to give us 2 options. We need that embed code. So we're going to click over here to the embed code. Now, what the embed code lets us do is to creates the embed code for us to be able to bring it into our classroom. So we choose embed code, and then we're just going to go ahead and press publish. And when we go to publish this section, we're going to press OK. It's going to bring up our embed code here. Now, this is what we need to be able to copy to be able to bring it into our Brightspace environment. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that so that I have it when I move into my Brightspace environment. Now, when you do publish your classroom here, your slide here, it creates it as a live link, which also means that every time you make some changes to your Bitmoji classroom inside your Google Slides, it feeds directly in to your live link in your Brightspace classroom. So if I change something here and then it will automatically live update into my Brightspace classroom, which I think is amazing because it just prevents you from having to go through all these steps over and over and over again. Instead, what you get to do is make the adjustments and save it, and away you go. So what I'm going to do now actually is I want to just take you back into my slides here, and I want to show you just a couple examples of some Bitmoji classrooms that I've built out already. So here's one that's an interactive North Pole, for example. So what I did here is I took a whole bunch of images of Bitmojis and I actually linked all my different links to the images that are here of all my little guys that are hanging out in the North Pole. So you could copy and paste this and take it into your classroom if you wanted. There's no limits to the amount that you put in there. Or I have an example here of my classroom that we're going to be using today. So this is the image that I'm going to bring into my, excuse me, my Brightspace classroom. You can see that I have my wall clock and a few different things that are here, and each one of them has already been linked to a certain area or certain certain area of Brightspace or a certain external link that's there. But you can see that all my different images have something associated with them for my students to explore. So again, in order to make that publishable, I'm going to go to File, scroll down to Publish to the web. I'm going to come over here to my embed code. See, oh, I've already published this one. So there's no longer the yellow box there. So that's already been published for me. But I do need to grab that embed code. So I'm going to come over here and copy it to make sure that I have it. And I'm all set to take it over to my Brightspace classroom. So when I come over, let's see here, back to my Brightspace classroom, from my home page, where I'm going to begin is in the course admin option. If course admin is not showing directly on your nav bar, you should have a little chevron here that can give you that drop down menu. It may be hidden below here, but course admin is standard on most nav bars. If it's not there, you can contact your Brightspace administrator, or if you're an educator here in Ontario, that would be your TELT contact, and they could help you with getting access to that. But mine's right here. So I'm going to click on my course admin, and it's going to bring me to my quite a few tools. Under site setup, we see the option here to create a widget. Widgets, again, are a space on your web page that allows you to store information. We are going to be creating a custom widget here today. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to choose this bright blue button that says create widget. And we're going to go ahead and pull that up. So when we pull it up under properties, we do need to give our widget a name. So I'm just going to call it my Bitmoji classroom, so it's easy to identify in the list. If you've created quite a few widgets, you'll understand that you want to make sure that you're specific so that you know you know which one is which so you can pull them in. Again, if maybe you have multiple Brightspace Bitmoji classrooms, so you can also add a description here to give some more details for it as well, depending on how you're moving forward with your organization here. So I'm just going to go ahead. I want to save that. I don't want to lose my work here. But to be able to bring in my Bitmoji classroom, I have to click in here into content. So it's going to be the content of what I want showing in my widget or the information I want displayed. And we're going to click in there, and it's going to bring us here to an area where you could type in all the details if you wanted. Maybe you want to make a welcome widget or some information widget or a scheduling widget. You could do that by adding this in here. But for our purposes, we're creating a Bitmoji widget. And what I need to do is go to Insert Stuff, which is this button here. And that opens up the opportunity for me to scroll down and enter my embed code. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste my embed code that I grabbed from my Google slide and bring it in here. And I'm going to press Next. Now it gives me that opportunity to look at my preview here, and I can see my Bitmoji classroom, and I think it looks great. So I'm really happy with it. So I want to go ahead and insert that there. So now we see that the Bitmoji classroom is showing. There we go, as is. And when I'm happy with it, I can go ahead and save and close. Now we see that the the Bitmoji classroom is now showing here on my custom widget list, which is fantastic. So now from here, we have this custom widget that we've created, but it hasn't gone anywhere yet. So now we have to decide where we want that widget to go. And we know we want it to go on our homepage. So there's two ways to access your homepage. One, you can go right here next to the widgets option, you can see homepages. But if you're starting from the beginning, you can also access homepage by going to course admin and following through to the homepage piece. For me, I'm just going to click it here because I'm going to do it all in one shot. So we're going to click over here to homepage. Now what we see here is that We have a variety of homepages that are sometimes built inside our area. It's really important to make sure that we look for the active homepage, and that'll be highlighted in blue. So this one that I have currently active is a copy of my elementary training webpage. Now, this is very important. When you're using the homepage, you will need to make sure that you make a copy of an original homepage. So if I was in this elementary training course, this was my active homepage, I would just need to use this chevron to create a copy of it because I don't want to be changing the templates of it. And often they're locked so that you're not able to change them at the time. So make a copy of the homepage and make sure that that's the one you're using. If you need to change what homepage is active after you've made a copy, you can come up here and click and apply so that your active homepage is changed. So now you can see that the homepage for elementary is now my active one, but I do want to make sure that I'm using my training copy. So I'm just going to go and change that back really quickly, point and click, and it's done. So once I've done that, I can choose the elementary training copy, and now it gives me the editing options for my homepage. So now I want to come in here and have a look at the opportunities to change my homepage. So there's a few things that you can do here. You can change the layout of your homepage if you want to. So depending on the way you want things to be stylized, you have that ability to kind of update and change and correct things there. So I want to change this a little bit so that my homepage is my widgets, I have the opportunity to add them at the top, just for the little bit of creativity here. Now you want to scroll down and look at for the add widget buttons. And depending on where on your homepage you want your new custom widget to live, you can choose the different boxes here for that style. You can also add multiple widgets into the same boxes if you want. They'll just stack on top of each other. And if you ever see these 8 little dots here, it means you can drag and drop them. So you can change the order of them. If you want the calendar above announcements or announcements above the calendar, you can do that. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my widget, my classroom widget here. So now I have the option of which widget I'm looking for. The system widgets are the ones that are offered to you from Brightspace, and the custom widgets are the ones that you've created yourself. There's my Bitmoji classroom. That's the one I want added, and I'm going to hit add, and there it is. So now that Bitmoji classroom is going to live inside this area of my homepage. Once I'm happy with the way that's looking, I can go ahead and hit save and close, and that has gone ahead and saved my widget to my homepage. Then when I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and click onto my course homepage here, bring me back to the beginning, and voila. There is my interactive Bitmoji classroom where it allows me as a student to point and click to different locations from from my Bitmoji classroom. I don't have to do anything to get there except point and click, and it will take me to the courses, take me to the places that I want to learn or that my teacher wants me to learn from. Now you are able to rename this. So maybe you've built a different, maybe you've built an interactive North Pole, for example, and that like I did in one of the samples there, and you want to rename it, you can do that by going under the style option in the chevron there one more time, style this widget. I can go ahead and I can take the title off entirely if I want to, or I can give it a new title. So check out the links for some fun. And there you go. You can retitle it to have it be as interesting or as creative as you want it to be. You're able to rename it. So I know that was a lot of information. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. It's 2 o'clock right on the dot. I'm surprised. I know that's a lot of information that we got through there in that half an hour. Even I'm surprised. But please be assured that I have gone ahead and I'm just going to pull it up here. I've created, for example, here's an example of a lot of the different instructional slides that I've created for you to support you on your journey of creating this. So you see here that I've taken the time to go through and build out some of those slide pieces for you so that you're able to access that. And that information will all be available to you on the educator website. So today we went through and we learned how to create a Bitmoji classroom with Google Slides and how to create it and add a widget into our Brightspace classroom and make sure that that widget is showing on our homepage so our students have access to it. We have added a variety of resources to help support you in your development of your virtual classroom and to be able to share with your parents and guardians as well as fellow educators if you're interested in helping to bring them into the Brightspace world. There's a lot of resources and tools available to you to further engage with the Brightspace tools, and we would encourage you to continue your exploration and your development as necessary for your practice. Do not be overwhelmed by the variety of tools. We know that Brightspace is an incredibly robust learning management system that you're able to utilize with your students. If you are diving into tools, we do recommend trying to take one at a time. Remember, sometimes less is more, but it is an exciting opportunity for you to really expand and develop and bring in more and exciting activities for your students. Finally, I'd just like to thank everybody for joining us today. We do truly appreciate the time you've taken out of your vacation to spend it with us and prepare yourself for the new year. We will be offering office hours today from 2:30 until 3:30, where we can answer any questions that you might have. If you are interested in joining us for that, and we do welcome everybody and all questions related to Brightspace and D2L, please register at the educator website where you registered for this webinar today. The link is also available if you're on my Twitter feed. If you don't have it handy, you can find it there and the Twitter feed is showing. Again, the recording from today as well as the slide deck will be available, if not by the end of this week, early next week on the educator webinar for you to access. We do thank you very much for taking time out of your winter vacation to spend it with us today or with me today. And I wish you all the best and a very happy new year. Best in 2021. And thanks again for joining us. Take care.